Hi, I'm Lars. Welcome back to the porch. Well, welcome back to the porch project, I should say. As you can see, we've got the fiberglass on the wall. You might not be using fiberglass. You might be using some sort of a metal structure or spider lath or whatever else. But I will tell you, with fiberglass, they say put nails every 6 inches vertically on the studs and don't worry about the middle. But I guess that might be okay if you're doing this all within a day. But being a DIYer, we don't tend to end up doing things in just a single day. There's just not enough time in the day, and there's only me and Susan working on stuff. So in the middle of the, if you remember, the last time you saw this, if you watched the last video on prep, these were the nails that went in the wall into the studs. Okay, so there's actually one here, might have to go a little bit further. But we go back and we hit what's called in the field, that's what we call it. And we fill in wherever there's a poofy part on the fiberglass or lath of any type, and make sure that this is pretty tight to the wall, because when you're taking your trowel and you're running this up the wall, if it's loose or whatever, you're going to tear it or rip it, or anything in the world can happen to it. Okay, the whole purpose of putting the mortar on the lath is this. The nails are holding the lath into the stud, so make sure you have at least an inch nail, or a lot of people they don't use the plastic heads, they use metal heads and screws. Some people use staples that you got to put in, or like fence staples that you would use to put a fence up on, like a cow fence or a goat fence or something like that. Make sure they're at least an inch long, because you want those really stuck into the stud, because that's what's holding this lath to the wall. Now the concrete is going to get behind the lath, on top of the lath, the mortar, going to on top of the lath and behind the lath, and that's going to bond to the lath. Okay, the lath is bonded to the wall, and then your stone, when you put it up, you're going to use a different type of mortar than we're using for the back. And these two kind of, being that the back mortar, the type S, is dry and this mortar's wet, when they hit, they suction together, and they literally sucks the water into this new mortar, because it's starving for water. And then once that dries, that bond is permanent. All right, it takes a lot to get this off the wall if you do it right. Now, I've talked to a lot of people, watched a lot of videos and all kinds of stuff about this, and we've actually done this already before. All right, this is not the first time we're doing this. And if you don't get your mixture right on your type S, it's going to fall off the wall. You don't want it mixed as if you were putting a fence post in the ground. You want it wet. All right. Our concrete guy, he told me, he goes, man, this has really got to be wet. All right. It's like pouring a porch kind of wet, but you need it to bond to the wall. So I have figured out that if you get a 5-gallon bucket and a 32-ounce yogurt container, you put 4 cups of water, clean water. And the reason they say clean is because you don't want the stuff inside of your mortar. So you need 4 cups of clean water. According to the bag, now I'm going to tell you the bag is not always correct, because they say put 80 pounds in with that 4 cups of water. If you do that, you're going to end up with something that is more like paste instead of more like pancake batter, because you want this stuff to be, and I know this is going to not make a lot of sense, but you want it to be like pancake batter. But if anyone out there does any baking, when you're baking chocolate chip cookies, you want just the moisture just to disappear. Once it disappears, it's done. And I'll go through and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, because this stuff has to be, you know, as my concrete guy says, it's got to be wet. Now, this is metal, so once you get wet concrete on this, it's not going to stay. So when you're putting this on the wall, you got to act pretty quick when you're getting it there. So some of the tools that you're going to need a spray bottle. All right, this makes it really easy if you want to go and mist down your tar paper before you put it on, because a little bit of water is not going to hurt it. Or if you have a spot that's drying quicker and you got to go mix up some concrete, just put a mist, just nothing big. You're going to need a pointing trowel, and there's 2 different types. There's one that's wide and there's one that's narrow. Okay, I prefer the narrow one. Try the other one I bought just in case I needed it. But this is used when you get to the top and you put mortar. You're going to scoop mortar out of your bucket with this and put it on your trowel. Okay. Then you're going to put it on the wall. When you get to the top, you can't really drag up into the ceiling. Okay, especially if you have a roof overhead like we do. So what I do is I take this and I put it on the wall like this, and I scoop it off and push it onto the wall like that. And I'll show you as I'm doing that. The last thing you're going to need is, well, there's one of two things that you're going to need. You need a brush, all right? Once the mortar's on the wall and it's starting to dry. Now I'm not talking like it's dry, because you can't really run this across it when it's dry. But when it's close to being dry, you want to brush it. Okay, you want to keep it all horizontal and then go back and go the other direction, and it'll make it look like it's a really rough sidewalk. Okay, or sort of like sandpaper, but really, really coarse sandpaper, like a 3 maybe. Or you could be using a different type of trowel that has notches in it. Okay, like 1/4-inch notches. And you could go across like this, and you can try to put a notch in it. Everyone I've talked to about this, I had a couple people tell me that they did the brush and then went back with the trowel to do it. It doesn't really matter either way. I don't know if it's for advertising, but a lot of these stone veneer, they look like they put the mortar up, then they put more mortar on it, and then they go back and they put a trowel on it, so it looks like this really nice bead up there. I don't know if it's going to work better or not. Everybody that I talk to, watch videos on or whatever, if you go out and look for them online, they're going to use this. All right, or they're going to use a piece of wire just to put some scratching in it, anything like that. I've never seen anybody yet take a 1/4-inch trowel and trowel across it at an angle or anything. All right, so the brush seems to work for us. Haven't had anything fall off the wall yet. Could still happen. Who knows? The next thing that you might do, if you're not doing the stack like we're doing, if you're just putting stone on the wall, you're going to need something like this. And I can't remember what these things are called, but I'll just call it a very small trowel. Okay? And as the mortar dries, like once you put the stone on the wall, and as the mortar dries, where you're going to put the grout, you need to scrape some of that mortar off and throw it in the back in the bucket, mix it in, or whatever you throw it away. It don't really matter. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need 2 buckets. The one bucket to put concrete in, and I would recommend putting another bucket there to fill it with water so you can scoop the right amount of water out of it. Then you can fill that bucket back up. You can also use that bucket if you're in between cleaning out your, you finished off a bucket of concrete. You need to put your tools in something to keep them moist, okay, or wet. So you're going to need another bucket for that. I always drop them in there, dust them off. Always have a rag laying around or two, because you're going to want to, wipe stuff off your tools. Might have to wipe your hand off. Might get something on something, and you're going to need a utility knife because you're going to have to cut the mortar bags up. Now, the mortar that we're using is Type S. Okay, I don't know if you can see this here, but it's Type S. All right, this is about a half full bag. And I'm going to tell you right now, the instructions on the internet, the instructions on the bags are wrong, because for what we have, I said I need about a 1/2 inch of mortar, and we ended up with 49 bags of mortar. Okay, now our back porch is bigger than our front porch. Not a whole lot bigger, but it doesn't have as many windows, so there's more surface area that the mortar was going on. Let's just put it that way. We use 14 bags on it. Now, overall, we have 76 square feet of wall space. That's everything that we thought we needed to put brick on, and we did measurements for pretty exact, added 10%, so that's including the 10%. So we bought 49 bags. We used 14 on the back, and I'm estimating we're probably going to use about 12 on the front. That doesn't equal 49. But if you go by the measurements on the bag, you're going to have that, okay? Because they're like, for so much, for a 1/2 inch, it'll tell you how many square feet you can get. you know, for a 1/2 inch when you're doing cinder block or if you're putting masonry up or whatever. And yeah, they overdid it there. So we'll be returning a bunch of bags, but I'll let you know for what we have, 676 square feet, how many bags we actually finish with at the end of the video. So for now, let's get to it. Alright, so one thing I forgot to mention, and of course, you know, after I went and I got some water down here. Okay, so here's a bucket of water over here, and here's where I'm going to be putting the concrete into. Is you're going to need one of these kind of paddles. Now, if you don't have one, go to your local box store. They're fairly inexpensive, unless you want to sit there and mix concrete by hand with a shovel, or if you want to go rent a mixer, that's fine, either way. But one of these guys here will save your back if you're trying to mix with a shovel. Now, I hook mine up on by DeWalt. It's just one that fits, not an impact, just a regular old drill. I got an adapter on here that you can get if you have a DeWalt. These things are a lifesaver. And then you can put on a lithium battery, all right? Instead of using one of the old 1060 batteries or 1080, I think they're 1060, 10600s. I don't know. They use them for vapes and battery packs and everything else. You're still using them in here, but these are actually lithium, okay? So it's a big difference. Now, something about using one of these, for those of you that don't do this regularly, never hold this like this. Okay, so never hold this on your side like this, on your right hand side. This is my right hand. I know it's left for you guys, but over here. Always put it on the left hand side. Unless you want a broken wrist, because when these things kick, they're going to flip your wrist like that, and it's going to give you a spiral break on your arm here, okay, if it gets stuck. Because when it grabs that mortar or the concrete, it'll throw. This will move a lot quicker. If you have this on this side, this is going to push up against you. It's not going to go anywhere, and your hand can just come straight off. Okay, you're not trying to pull this with your hand and try to hold it. And most of the time, what happens when people are spinning these, they relax. Okay, so they relax. They calm down, like, oh, this is not a big deal. It's like, you know, mixing pancake batter or whatever, and then it grabs, and then your wrist goes flying, and you break your wrist. I've seen this quite a few times on job sites. When me and my dad used to build houses, they used to have corded drills that were a lot more powerful than this one here, and they go flying, and they just snap somebody's wrist. It twists the wrist like that, and you get 2 fractures in your arm here, then you're in a cast and you're out of work. For you guys, it might be something like, well, I can't type anymore. For me, in my field, which is computer developer, computer architect, in my field for computer programming and architecture and stuff like that, if I can't type and I'm typing with one hand, it's going to be a hard day for quite a while. All right, the first step here is what we're going to do. Now, we're going to take 4 cups of water out of here like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are 32 ounces, so that's 64, 128. It's about a gallon of water. All right, so something when you're putting concrete in the bucket of water, there's 4 cups of water in here, 4 of these cups, 32 ounces. And I'm going to put 2 pretty full cups of concrete in here, like that. Okay, so those are 2 cups of concrete. And then I'm going to take this paddle and I'm going to mix this. Remember, keep it on your left side and just mix it up a little bit. And I know some of the veterans out there are saying, just dump it all in and mix it. Well, the problem with that is the concrete at the bottom will stay dry. And then it could catch the motor, the paddle on the bottom of the drill, and someone out there might break the wrist, so I'm taking you down the easy path. So that's a total of 4. 5. 6. 6. So I put 2 in, and then I put 4 more in, and then remember, see, I can't even get this down to the bottom. So you want to get this mixed in here really well, because if you don't get it mixed in really well, and yeah, you could go buy a cement mixer, or you could rent one or whatever, but if you don't get it mixed really well, it will form it'll start turning to concrete in the bottom. So this 7, 8, 9, 10, and mix it up again. And by this time it'll look like some chocolate milk. It's 11. 12. 13. 14. Now I'd like to tell you 100% that this is perfect for where you live, but I don't know what kind of humidity you have, so this might be perfect at this point. That would be 14 32-ounce scoops. But here in Ohio, even though it's a little humid today, I'm going to put a 15th bucket tub in there. Because what you're looking for is you're looking for something that looks like this right here. It's going to slide off. It's got a little bit of water, a little bit of moisture. I didn't say it's water. It's not like it's floating in water, but you need something that will be able to form. For instance, when I pick this up and I put this on my trowel, I can go like this and get a nice flat edge. I don't want it to be going like this and being rough, okay? I don't know if you can tell the difference between the smooth and something that's really rough like that. You don't want the rough, you want it smooth. Alright, so I'm going to start down here in this part of the corner that is what I would consider the easier part of the wall, because the other side's got an outlet on it. And you want to put some mud on here like this. And try not to get it too close to the edges, but if you do, you're going to have a blowout. So I want it to be a little bit close to this edge. Try to keep your trowel as straight as you can, and then just push this up into the wall. Now, you're not just going to drag this up the wall, you're going to kind of vibrate it up and down, and you'll see it starting to come out the side. I got too close to the edge. So you want to try to save that mortar the best you can, but you're going to go up and down like that, and what that's doing is just pushing it into the wall. And then you're going to smooth it again. Now, just going to let you know, this stuff is going to fall all over the place. So if you're doing this on a patio that you are worried about, or near something that you're worried about it getting messed up, you're going to need to put some tarps down, and you're going to have to weight them down the best you can. But that's all there is to it. And as you can see, If this was drier, it would not be going on as easy. And if you feel like it's, you know, if you feel like, well, it's not really getting pushed in or whatever, you know, the way I'd like it to be, by all means, add more water to it. If it's too wet and it's not really sticking, well, then add more concrete. It's not, there's not a real, let's put it this way, I can't tell you exactly how much concrete to put in and how much water, because it all depends on what is the humidity like in your area the day that you're doing this. You know, there's a lot. Did it rain? Is it raining out right now? Because I've noticed when we did the back porch on our house, one day it was pretty dry, the next day it was a little wet, then it got dry again, and every day it was a different amount. So I got to the point where I'm just kind of throwing it on here and just, you know, till it looks like what it does today. You know, what it looks like. It's not too dry, it's not too wet. And another thing, when you're pushing this up, don't take it and push all your weight into it, okay? You want to put a little bit of weight into it, but you don't need to really force it down. You're putting it on the wall and you're trying to get it behind the fiber, the lath there, okay? The fiber lath, if you're using regular lath, whatever. So you are smearing it on there, but you're not, you know, pushing it. You're not trying to make it as thin as you can get it. You're trying to put about a ½ inch on. So the next thing that I gotta talk to you guys about is when you come up to one of these where there's an overlap. So you always want to get the mud up to there first. Get some mortar on here. Don't be bashful with it at this point. And just kind of shimmy it like that, a little bit of vibration until you get over it, and then just clean your trowel off. And then come back over it again. Right next to it, like that. And just keep pushing that mortar up. And then make sure you're coming back and filling these little areas in here, like if you're going to have holes. And then come back and lightly go up across them, clean it on your bucket, lightly go up across them, and then clean that on your bucket. Okay. Now also, when you're doing this, make sure that you're working in a small area at a time. Don't just, you know, do one strip up the wall from top to bottom and then come back and do the next strip up the wall from top to bottom. You know, do 3 or 4 stripes at a time and work your way up. Your back will thank you for this in the long run. Like that. Now, you're going to see that there's a little bit of you know, there's little holes in here, like right here. Hope you can see this. Yeah. So you're going to see like there's little holes in this. Don't be afraid to just put some mortar on your trowel, start below it, and just start pushing this up and fill that hole in. Alright? Any place you see a divot or something like that, like right here there's one, just put it back in. Don't push really hard. A lot of people will say this is more of an art form than it's a skill set, and I'll agree with that to a point. Because once you know the skill set, you look like an artist. Okay? And let me tell you, I am nowhere near being an artist. Unless you're talking about stick figures or something like that. Okay. Okay, now working down in an area like this where you've got an outlet or something in the way, I find it easiest to put this in like this. Start the bottom of it the same way. Now, you see all that mud that's on there? There's not a lot, but it's not one of the situations where you can just drag it up and drag it across, and what'll happen is if you put too much mud on it, once you get up to the top where you gotta tilt your trowel out, it's going to fall all over the place. You see all that? It'll just slide. It will literally just slide on your trowel. So this is what I do. I put more mud on here than I need. I take my trowel up to it like this and put it against there, and I push this up with a pointing trowel or a flat trowel, you know, with a like the other trowel I showed you, it was flat, it wasn't pointy. And just kind of squeegee it in. Kind of rub it around. And then come back with the pointy trowel and just kind of smooth it out. And clean off your bigger trowel and turn it this way. And take it up the side. And then here, pull it down some. Not a lot. And if you can get a trowel in here, drag this back across one way and then back across the other way. And you're going to have little holes that you need to fill in, and that's okay. Just put some on your trowel, pick it up, and use your pointing trowel to smooth it out. And that's what you kind of are looking for, is like right like that. Alright, it will take a little bit of time to get decent at it. One other thing I'd like to show you, I don't have any mud up underneath here. And if I put this like this, I can't get it in. So use the back side of your trowel. I feel like you're doing this backwards, but then you can flip this up in there. You get mortar up into that spot, and then just drag it across, and don't worry about it. Just smooth it out best you can. Same thing with going up the side. Is what I do is I lay this like this, and I put a big pile on there, and then I take it and I stand it up and drag it like that. So I got into the tree that I'm leaning against, and then I do it again. Anything to get around that, you know, outlet. Same thing here. Trying not to drop everything all over the place, and I don't want to drag the bag in. There we go. Like that. And again, there's a little hole on this side. I don't think you guys can see, but I'm going to do the same thing I did on the bottom. I'm just going to put it on the back side of my pointy trowel and smooth this up. Like that. There we go. And then when you get to the top of the outlet, you can start just like as if you were at the bottom and just lay this on top and just work your way up. Smooth it out to the side. You do the same thing over here we did on the other side. It's not that I'm dragging it up, I'm pretty much just leaning it in, and then I'm pushing it in as I go up. And then just drag this over like that. And that's how you get an outlet done. There you go. All right, if you're wondering, this is about 3 buckets of mortar. It's about 2 bags of mortar. There's still some areas in here that I still have to clean up, but I need to let this to get a little drier before I can just start going up. Otherwise, it's just going to rip it right off the wall. So it still hasn't been smoothed out, but it will probably take at least two more buckets to get this wall completed. One thing, another tip here, like this is just a video about tips because otherwise you're just going to be watching me putting stuff up on the wall. When you get to a corner like this or to the top, because you can't take your trowel up like this with mud and try to get it in there, because when you come back like this, it's going to be full of mud. It's just going to end up all over you. So put some mud on your trowel, what you think you might need. Put your trowel like this and use your pointing trowel, just to take this and just smear it up here. You're not trying to like make it look pretty, you're just trying to get it on the wall the best that you can at this point in time. As you can see, it's not like all there. Just keep scooting this down and putting it where you need it the best that you can without it trying to, see, otherwise it's just going to fall over the place. And use your pointing tool. This is going to be a mess, I'm not going to lie to you. And this actually works better when it's a little wetter. This stuff here is starting to dry out on me a little bit. And that's where the squirt bottle comes in. You squirt the tar paper a little bit in the whole area. Some more mud on your trowel. And then get this back up here. Because all you're trying to do is get the mud on the wall at the moment. And it's not the easiest thing to do in a corner. The pointing trowel really helps out in doing this in a corner. Then once you get the mud on there pretty well, just clean off your big trowel and you can start in the corner and smooth this coming out like that, and you're done. Don't touch it again, just done. So this is what 3 bags of mortar look like. Mortar type S, and it's got a little bit down here on the wall. I actually have probably about 1 of those cups left. I just wanted to finish this up because I've been doing this for about 3 hours now, and I'm tired. As you can see, I'm sopping wet, and I haven't done the scratch coat yet because I just got done. But as you can see, you're going to see spots in here where you're going to see some of the fiberglass, and then some places where you're not going to see it at all. And you could spend all day, you could put another skim coat on this if you wanted to. Everyone that I've talked to that does this for a living, like every single day, they're like, don't bother, just let it get to a point where it's not tacky, let it dry enough that then you can just take a brush and real smoothly go across, and then as far as you can, like right about here, and then come back this way. and I will take you around back now and show you what that looks like. Now this is the back porch, and we've already done the mortar back here. But as you can see, this has just been it's gone across with a brush, and it's got little, like, it's almost like sandpaper, okay? It's got there's some cracks in it because it's mortar. It will do that if it sets for a while. This has been setting now for about 3 weeks because, again, DIY, you're trying to do something for yourself, and you just, there's rain, there's all kinds of stuff that gets in the way of your life, your life gets in the way you're doing your work, right? So this is the way it's going to be. When you first get it up here, it's going to feel like it's going to flex a little bit, okay? And then it hardens and it stops flexing, and it's still curing. And right now, these cracks that are forming in here are because it's starving for water, all right? Once you get the mortar, the stone mortar on the stone, as you start putting it up here, these things will suck in that water, okay? And it's going to suck in the mortar and everything else, and everything will be fine. So don't freak out when you start seeing a little crack here and there, okay? So this portion here is thinner than over here because I'm going to blend this across this. So I didn't want this to be as thick. But you can see the stuff's pretty strong. Now again, the way this works is the mortar binds to the fiber mesh, okay, this mesh. The nails are in studs holding the mesh on the wall, and the mortar is sticking to the tar paper, all right? There is a vapor barrier between the tar paper and the Tyvek that's behind it, and that's why we have the weep screed at the bottom. So if there's any water, moisture, anything, humidity, whatever, it'll come out the bottom, and it will also let it breathe a little bit. So this is pretty good. This is pretty solid. Okay, one thing that I want to make sure everybody gets and knows, I'm sure you can see this, is right here where I've gone over the existing mortar. Spray it down, keep it moist, but then you want to go back and you want to brush this a lot faster than you're going to brush the rest of this, because this stuff will absorb this. The mortar on the bottom will absorb the moisture out of the mortar on the top, and it will dry a lot quicker, and you won't be able to scratch it unless you take a tool like this. And this will work just fine too if you just come through it. You just need something to let that water get soaked into the mortar on the bottom. Okay, there has to be a little bit of roughage in here. The brush works the best. I've seen guys take wires, like electrical wires, and just go through this, and that will work fine too. But just remember that the mortar I'm putting on right now that's connected to this is going to dry out a lot faster than the rest of the mortar. I just want everybody to make sure they understand that. Earlier my battery died on my camera yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to show you guys this, but what you want to do with the brush, clean brush, just want to start on the edge here and just drag it across like that, very lightly, all the way across. And I'll show you what I do on the other side. But this is all you want to do, you just want to pull it across like that. And it's going to look like a sidewalk when you're done, okay? And you're going to end up pulling out chunks of mortar, okay? It's going to happen, just don't worry about it. Just touch them back down. You can always come back and cover them back up later. But remember, you're putting more stone mortar on top of this. You want to stay away from the stuff that's really fresh, because you will pull that completely off the wall. Okay. So like down here, this is where I started, if you remember. So I'm just going to go across this and just brush it. I'm going to go this way and brush it, and then kind of tap the edges a little bit and just go back and forth. And you're doing is you're roughing it up. You're pulling out some of the mortar is going to fall on the ground, and you just got to let it go. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. You're doing this to allow water, when you put the stone mortar up, that's going to be a little bit wet, just like this was, and you're going to let that stone mortar get absorbed into this mortar, and then when it does, it's going to cause like a I don't know what they call it. It's going to cause a suction, if you will, like a vacuum of the water out of it, and it's going to pull it into this mortar. And I'll go over that once we start putting up the stone mortar more, and I'll show you. I don't know if I'm going to show you because it takes a lot of work to get it back off. But if you were to butter up a brick, a stone, and stick it on here, you want to get it in there, hold it for a few seconds, let it go. It will stay. It'll suck it right in, and you'll notice that this mud here that I put on here, down here, that I added in, this mud, it's all there. It's not coming out, okay? It's there. I mean, it's pretty solid. And I'm probably going to have to get something inside my fingernail here and scratch this up a little bit, all right, because it's still a little soft. Now, if you do move that stone too much, what's going to happen is that stone's going to fall off the wall, okay? And you will not be able to stick it back on. You're going to have to clean the mortar off the stone, clean the mortar off the wall, rebutter it, and stick it back up again. All right, so don't mess with them. Once you get them in the place you want, leave it. Don't touch it. Since the last video, it's been a couple weeks. Been kind of busy on the other projects going on in the back of the house. With there's a patio coming in. I got a video for that coming out, and how to put a patio in and save yourself some money. It's actually, if you're going to do it, you're going to have a patio put in, get in touch with Earl Parson Concrete Construction, and you do a lot of the prep work, and you'll save some money with these guys. They'll work with you. Okay, so right now you're seeing that all of the mortar is up on this wall, and this video has got to end here because it's really long. But you can also see that the porch is in. All right, and that was another project that we were working on, getting gravel moved in. I didn't get a lot of that videotape because it was really hot out, and we just had a lot of we needed to get it done. Okay, and videotaping takes a lot of time. But I will talk about that in that video. We talk about the porch. So the video is going to end. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel. The next video is how to put stone on these walls. Okay, and I'm going to go through every process that you need to do to go through it to give you the best looking wall you can get. And I'll talk about the different heights and levels and stuff that you need to deal with. All right, so you're always welcome back here in the shop or to the porch. And as always, have a nice day.